much disrespected for the fact that we have given the memorandum in the hands of the President Cyril Ramaphosa. And even this promise that he made, that he said that he would make engagement with us. Now, how can one say that you are making engagement when you are talking on the background with the leader of the National Khoisan Council, Mr. Sizzle Lafleur, which now has been appointed as the council of the ANC in one of his words. Now, how can one then talk about engagement when one does such things? For us, the government, when they signed the act or made it part, was that we did not accept it. There's lots of our leaders across the country that have not accepted the bill and the act, but yet government went forward and doing everything by its power to let it go through. Now the question that we ask ourselves is, why? When government talks about recognition and we talked about recognition, it's two different things. Because when what we're standing here for is not just recognition, but it's recognition as the first nation of South Africa. That by itself has basically, as First Nation, there's certain things that First Nation people needs to acquire from the government. So, and those are part of the issues. The recognition also doesn't clearly state about the land question, because in our last engagement with the DG in 2018, he talked about the Khoisan Traditional Leadership Bill, and his issue was that it will talk about land, but yet it doesn't talk about land because the leaderships are still without land. When one talk about even identity, because how can you call us Khoisan on the Khoisan Traditional Leadership Bill, and yet when we looked in the documents of government where we need to fill in who we are, there's a block that brings us to colored. Now how can one be called Khoisan but yet you fill in colored? Now when this was approached with Kokta, some of our leaders have approached them about that, and Kokta simply says that, well, what about those people that wants to be called colored? We cannot just remove the word colored simply because somebody says that they're not colored. Now, one thing that we try to understand, how can government freely use the term colored, yet in 1991 the term got abolished? So it's not a matter of the people wanting to be called colored, it's about what does the law say about the word colored. It says that from 1991 there was no more the word colored, but yet this government simply ignored, and they went on going to the people, and the people which only know colored, they then call themselves colored. Instead of rectifying that by telling the people, you are no more colored, you need to identify who you truly are. Instead of that, they went forward and still label the people colored. Now, this Khoisan Traditional Leadership Bill, the bill for us simply means nothing, because for us, our protection is being recognized as First Nation, because we cannot go into a traditional house or a council for that matter where we are at the bottom, meaning that we still do not speak our language. Our language is still not made official. It's still not made part of government's plan to promote the language and even to have schools up where our people can learn this language, even if it means government schools. Now those are the areas that is not touched, because we cannot go into a council where we basically are powerless, because in the House of Traditional Leaders the leaders that are there from Sud to Ven, Khoisan, all of them, we know and we believe that when it comes to decision making, they forming a democracy, meaning that the majority, if the majority agrees, that is what will be implemented. And we know that we could be led into a trap where the majority could vote against us. So for us, the Khoisan Traditional Leadership Act, whatever government wants to call it, for us it's null and void, because the people in our communities, the so-called colored people, are still not, their lives has still not been improved by this.
And King, do you feel that by government saying they are working towards recognizing your people, do you feel that that is being accelerated in any way? Do you feel as though there is any progression in what government is doing, or is it simply just what you see on paper, having been here for the past 2 years and having seen the headlines that have been there about your community? Do you feel that there's any improvement in that sector?
No, I don't think there's improvement. I think simply is that this is also another trick of government. Because remember, government should have engaged with us, but instead they're going on the background doing things. So they literally want what they are doing in the background once they want a ripple effect, meaning that whatever they do on the background, it must change our stance here at the Union Building. We must pack up and leave. But we have made it clear to them in 2018 when we engaged with the DG, the only way that we will move from here if the government starts implementing, recognizing us as the first nation of South Africa. Until the government starts making our language official, until the government starts returning ancestral land to us, until the colored words are being removed from Z83 or wherever we are mentioned. Up until then, it is the only time we will move from this union.